Hey guys, this is Matthew, and I wanted to put together this video kind of briefly showing how you could possibly format your midterm portfolio. And just as a reminder, typically throughout a semester, I offer 8 project opportunities for students to express themselves and put their visual ideas together. And for this particular Intro to Digital Photography course, students have to, at minimum, provide 5 digital negatives or photographs that have been modified in Adobe Photoshop. So, usually they're theme based. Usually it's towards some sort of a concept or a visual idea. And I also always encourage my students to make these projects very, very personal. So that being said, it's always a good idea to reflect a little bit, both midway through a semester and at the end of a semester, so that you can sort of look at all of the work that you've been doing collectively. Okay. And so these opportunities to composite or compile all of your work together is really valuable. The other thing that this does is that it really trains you to have the ability to put together a portfolio. So, for example, if you're seeking work in the graphic design field, or even if you're putting together a portfolio of paintings or drawings for a gallery, you're going to be having to communicate or deliver these things digitally via email. And so I wanted to talk to you about this very, very incredible tool that's Adobe based called Adobe InDesign. And essentially, it's a publication compositing application, and it's relatively simple to use. There are a lot of ins and outs of this application, like all the Adobe applications, but you really only need to know a few basic things to kind of get started. And so that's why, again, I'm making this tutorial so that you can have a clear path forward. You can use things like Microsoft Word, or, I mean, I know there are other applications that you could find online, but I think it's also a good idea to introduce applications that are useful for folks to go out into the field and possibly get some work. Again, I'm teaching a lot of design classes, a lot of creative digital classes in general. And when you go into these design office environments or creative environments, they're going to ask you, what kind of software do you know about? And hopefully, this knowledge will help you to get some employment down the road. Okay. Maybe it's just going to open the door to the power of InDesign, and also, a creative career. Okay. So there are a lot of different intentions I have with this project. But mostly at this particular moment, it's really about you reflecting on the work that you've accomplished so far in this semester. Okay. So you can see actually this is the PDF, the project or assignment PDF that I've created. And the next step is I want to hit Command N on a Mac, and this dialog box will pop up. I'm going to change the title over here to Midterm Portfolio. Okay. And I'm going to change the units to inches. I'm going to change the width and the height to 17 by 11. I'm not going to worry so much about this right now, but okay, it looks good to me. All right. We only have one page currently, but after we open the application, we can add more pages, so you don't need to worry so much about that. One important thing that you need to have clicked off is facing pages, because we're not making a book type publication, so we want the pages to kind of read just vertically, simply, okay? So not left to right, not left to right, if that makes sense. We just want them to be vertical one after another. So I think we're good, and I'm going to hit create. Expand this so that you can see things a little bit more clearly. Okay. And so if we go back to what I'm asking for, I do want you to have, of course, your name, last, first, the title of the course, some sort of a bio. I think and this is, I know I'm not asking for easy things from you. I mean, it's very difficult to write a bio about yourself and who you are, and essentially I'm asking you to present yourself as an artist via words. And so that's what a bio or a statement can sort of indicate. And then you have item 1, 2, 3, and 4 because we're only midway through the semester. By the way, I will ask you to do a final portfolio, and of course that will have 8 projects instead of 4, okay? So we've gone halfway through the semester, and that's why I'm only asking for 4. And then it's a nice idea to have sort of a table of contents, just sort of reminding the viewer what is within, okay? So I'm gonna just, in all honesty, I'm gonna copy and paste this information into my document. And in order to do that, I need to come over here and select T, okay? And that'll engage the type tool. The alternative way to access that tool is to hit T on your keyboard and then drag to sort of create a text box and then hit Command V. Because remember, I hit Command C for copy over here to copy that text. And then over here, I simply hit Command V for paste. There's this little red box in here, like this little plus sign, and that's indicating, hey, I can't see all the text that you've plugged into this text box. So in other words, I'm going to have to expand that box. And so now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to engage the selection tool. And the shortcut for the selection tool is V. After I do that, there are these handles that pop up, and I can sort of move those things around really easily. Okay. And I want this essentially to take up maybe half the page. It's 11 by 17. I know it's a little bit larger. And so if I extend this handle all the way to the right-hand side to the margin, these nice, beautiful sort of magenta lines, I think to me, it's a little bit odd for it to extend that far. So I'm actually going to expose the grid so I can see the grid a little bit by hitting Command parentheses on my computer. And you can toggle that on and off really easily. And the handle is kind of indicating the halfway point right here. And so I'm just going to remember with my eye where to kind of move this back. And I don't know if you guys saw this, I just hit Command Z for undo. But notice how first of all, as I bring this handle in, it's compressing the text so it will fit properly. Okay. So, but really what I'm interested in is that midpoint for the time being. I can kind of see it's right here. So I'm going to drag over here and notice how the smart guide is also showing me that that's the midpoint with that magenta line. That's kind of cool. So I'm just going to let go. Now I'm going to hit Command 0 to see my entire document. And by the way, if you're new to InDesign, I might show you some other things. Like for example, if you hit Command negative sign up next to the 0 button on your keyboard, you can zoom out. And then if you hit Command plus, you can zoom in. And then if you just want to see everything on your screen, you simply hit Command 0. Those are real popular short keys that I'm doing just through my creative process, okay? Okay, so now, I mean, obviously you'll have to replace some of this text with, your last name and your first name, and you'll have to rewrite your bio. And by the way, this will take some time. And this is really just a lifetime working document because your life is going to change, your goals are going to change, your experiences are going to change. But this is something that you are always going to be you're always going to have your hand on this when you're presenting your work to the world, okay? And then 1, 2, 3, 4, those 4 items. I think this is really important because the same way I have you describing yourself as a creative or artist or designer, I also want you to get into the habit of describing your work. And so you have to keep it very brief and clear and succinct. And these little guys right here, I would like for you to replace those with those simple sentences, okay? And reflect on that. And it's only 2 or 3 sentences. And so you really have to economize and condense your words and choose your words carefully, okay? Okay, so again, you can zoom out. One of the more important things, of course, is to save. So hit Command S, and you can save this InDesign document in your in your course folder, essentially. And so I already have this other document called midterm portfolio. It's this one right here. So I'm going to have to call this midterm portfolio work. Maybe that's a good way to do it because I want it to be distinguished. Now, here's the other thing. If you're new to InDesign, you need to, let's go back to my Finder window really quickly. Here we go. Here's my folder called Midterm Portfolio, and here's my course folder called Photography-Intro. And you can see that all of my stuff or all of your stuff is in your course folder. It's all in one place, which is really beautiful. So you've got your midterm portfolio, and this is the file that we just saved or created. But in order for InDesign to work, it needs to be able to find files. And so if you're really well organized in your course folder, that's not going to be a problem because InDesign, when it's exporting, it's going to be looking for those files to work with or compress or mediate into a finalized PDF. And I have things, pretty well organized here, and I hope you do too. Project 1, Project 2, Project 3, Project 4, yada, yada, yada. I mean, this is my course folder as an instructor, as your teacher, as your coach. You guys probably have a similar circumstance where you have a quote unquote course folder. And within that course folder, you have your Photoshop files, you have your JPEG or PNG exports, you have all of the stuff that is associated with your work. Okay. This is a very, very important thing for using Adobe InDesign, but also for just simply being organized as a creative, especially if you're a designer. You just have to learn that part of your goal is to document your work and to document it so that you can find it later, so that you can create a portfolio like what I'm asking you to do now. If I have an archive, in fact, I can show you. I have a hard drive, and within that hard drive, I have an art design folder. And you can see I am organizing all of my projects according to year. And so, this currently I'm in the process of actually transferring things over. So this one only goes to 2011 because I'm moving over the other years right now because occasionally I back things up because I have that paranoia bug that designers have. It's just good to have backups of everything constantly. Anyway, so you can kind of see it's sort of fun. Even going back to 1998, I can find drawings that I was working on, um, prints, all that good stuff. So I would love it if you guys could have that sort of an archive and development for your own work and process. Save everything. Everything is valuable and it goes into a project folder. Okay, so now we've got the cover page kind of set up, and if you want, you can change it from Helvetica. Like oh, and by the way, what I just did is I just double clicked into the text box, and that's how you can make changes. So you double click into the text box, and then you select text, and you can even change the size of the text. Like right now, this is all 10 point, which is actually a little bit small. So I'm going to hit Command A or select all while I have double clicked into the text box, and I can move it to 12 point. Okay. You can, just like in Word, you can change things. Okay. No big deal. And maybe some of it you want to be 12 point, and maybe some of it you want to be 10 point. Okay. It's really up to you how you format things, but I think having a real good eye for this step in your process is very, very valuable because obviously you're trying to impress whoever you're sending this portfolio to, whether it's me, whether it's a potential employer or a hiring manager or a gallery curator, yada, yada, yada. You have to impress these folks with your organization. Also double check things like grammar. You can, I love doing this. You can copy text and then you can open up Google, and I like finding word counter applications, and you can see the one that I'm always going to right here. And you can plug your text in here, and it will sort of, first of all, count your words. This is just lorem ipsum, by the way, so it's gibberish, but it will count your words, But it will also possibly use, I like this tool right here. Can't remember what it's, I think it's Grammarly. Yeah. So it's Grammarly and it will automatically sort of look for spelling errors and also grammatical errors in your work. Obviously, if you deliver a document and the grammar is poor, or if you have a lot of things misspelled, that is going to reflect on you and your identity as an artist. So all of these details are extraordinarily important. And I encourage all of you to take them very, very seriously. Okay. So this, again, this is an exercise for this course, but first, and, but secondly, I think this is an exercise in professional development. Okay. Um, so yeah, I'm going to hit Command S and I'm going to save because occasionally that's a good idea. And then I want to start creating some new pages. So if I come over here and click the pages icon, and by the way, if you don't see this, you can come over here and make sure that you are in Essentials Classic work mode. And then from there, you can actually reset Essentials Classic work mode. Okay. So that we can all be on the same page with what we're viewing. Okay, so here's page one. And if I come down here to this plus sign, I can add an additional page. Okay, pretty cool. If I double click on that page, it will automatically go there. Okay, and it's pretty simple. All I want to do is place some images, but I also need the title of the image. I think that would be very helpful too. So I'm going to I'm going to go back up here actually. And here's some information regarding dimensions. I'm going to copy and paste that. And then I'm going to go back to the page that I just created and notice how I just double clicked to get there. No big whoop. Now I'm going to create a new text box. I'm going to paste the text that I just copied from above. And because it's an object, you can adjust things with these handles. I mean, this is really small text, though. It needs to be much larger. And even 12 isn't large enough for this page, if you ask me. So let's go like 24 is a little high. Let's go 18. It doesn't need to be too large, but you guys can make those decisions on your own. And I'm just going to put this information towards the bottom. For example, let's see what else I'm missing here. And actually, all of this would be pretty darn valuable. So I made a mistake. I need to grab all of that information. Click on the second page, hit V. There's that plus sign again. And the reason we're seeing that is because there are these spaces where I copied and pasted things from. But in this circumstance, I just want everything to read in one line or one sentence or just one straight shot. Okay. You can see I'm trying to do something here. I'm trying to get that to snap to the grid a little bit. I love the grid. So I'm going to come up here to view and temporarily I'm going to turn on snap to document grid. Okay. So I've got that turned on. And now I'm just going to, if I try that again, you'll see that now it's snapping beautifully to the grid. Those are just little things in software process that make me really happy. So let's double check the size of that text. 10 point is not enough. Let's move it up to 14. Okay. And extend things out a little bit so we can see everything. Okay, so the title, medium, and you'll have to, change this accordingly to your document. I think I was asking folks to do things that are 8.5 by 11. If you deviated from that, it's okay. The date of completion is 2024. The medium is digital photography, and then the title, only you know the title. So, I'm just going to leave this sort of a little bit ambiguous for now, and I'll allow you guys to plug in that information, okay? Now, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here and I'm going to choose the rectangle frame tool, and I'm just going to drag, okay? Whoops. How that happened, that was strange. Okay, let's try it again. Rectangle frame tool, drag, and it just creates this box, which is really just ready to accept an asset. And an asset can be in InDesign, an asset can be a JPEG, it can be a PNG, it can be a PDF. I mean, that's the beauty of InDesign. You can just, it's kind of like a crock pot. You can just throw a lot of different types of ingredients into your crock pot, and then a soup comes out. All right. That's a pretty apt metaphor here. Okay. And so some folks export their images as JPEGs. Some folks don't export at all, and they're just sending me raw PSD files or raw Photoshop files. I think it's really wonderful to know that InDesign, you can place raw Photoshop files or Illustrator files or a lot of different types of things just directly into the application, and then it will export them out. Okay. And so that's nice to know because, for example, what if you have a Photoshop file that you're still sort of making some changes to? Well, if you export a JPEG, I mean, after you've exported it, it's done. It's sort of the cake is baked, so to speak. But if you plant a Photoshop file into your document, that essentially means that if you make changes down the road, all you have to do is come over here to links, and then you can simply update the link occasionally when you update your Photoshop file. That is really, really cool. I mean, you guys can hear the enthusiasm in my voice. I love this application. Okay, so now I still have Snap to Grid on. Let's go back here. I just want to show Snap to Grid is still on. It's indicated by that little checkbox. I like Snap to Grid. It just makes my life easier, okay? So I'm going to grab this handle, and I'm going to drag it to that magenta line, okay? And I'm just going to drag it all the way to the border of this document. And you'll see why here in a second. And I'm going to actually do this 4 more times, because each project, if I'm not mistaken, I required you guys to have 5 images delivered on Canvas. Okay, so 4 times 5, this document should at minimum have 20 pages then, right? Okay, so now I'm going to select all of this, and I'm going to hit Command C and copy that. And I'm going to go back to pages, and I'm going to create 4 more pages. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. I'm going to double click on page 3. And remember, I copied and pasted the content on page 2. So now I'm going to double click into page 3. Now I'm going to hit Command V. And look at that. Just plants in there, and you can move things around and you can adjust it so it snaps real beautifully on the grid for you. It's page 5. It's page 6. And again, I'm just setting up these ducks to accept information. And I can zoom out, right? So here's the table of contents page that we created initially. And then I've set up these ducks for project 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And I'm going to use a student example to do this. And it's really simple. And by the way, I'm going to double click into page 2. And when you double click on it, it'll sort of automatically zoom in on that particular page so that you can see things clearly. I feel like I did make a mistake though, because I don't want the image to be so close to the text. So I'm actually going to drop this text on all of the pages 1/8 of an inch down. And I'm able to do that really easily because I have Snap to Grid on. Okay, so you can kind of see it just snaps beautifully 1/8 of an inch down. So I feel like now things are a little bit better prepared. Now I'm going to come up here, double click on page 2, make sure I'm in the right spot. I'm going to hit Command S and save, just because I'm paranoid. It's a good idea to save occasionally. Now, with my black arrow tool, I'm going to drag and select, and then I'm going to do something really, I'm about to show you something that's very, very powerful in this application. I'm going to place an image into the image holder, or the rectangle frame. Or the rectangle frame. Sometimes I forget the technical word for it, the rectangle frame tool. But in order to place an object in this rectangular frame, I have to activate it or select it. So drag and select, and then you can come up here to File, Place. And by the way, just to kind of show you, if I don't have anything selected, and then I come up here to File, Place, the dialog box will pop up, but essentially it means that the object won't be placed in the rectangle that we've already created, okay? And so I like consistency, and I've set up, again, these ducks to accept information. It's a workflow thing. So drag, select, come up here to File, then you go to Place, and notice what the shortcut is, Command D. So I'm going to hit Place. This dialog box is going to pop up. Now I'm going to back up, and I'm going to go to my course folder, photography-intro, and then I'm going to go to a student project. Okay, look at this. I have everything organized, and I have a lot of work just waiting to be planted. All right, and some students send me JPEGs, some students send me PNGs or or Photoshop files. I actually really like the Photoshop files, and I think I'll try a few different examples just to kind of indicate. But I'm going to use Sophia's work right here, and look how beautifully labeled they are. So she knows what negative she started from. So image underscore 4699 dash edit dash final dot PSD. This is really organized work, okay? So if I select that, now look at this. This is really interesting. It's almost kind of like it's just a big box holding the object. If I double click into this box, you can see that the boundaries, look at this sort of like sienna line. I mean, the boundaries of this photo are huge. And it's because the quality is quite large. So, but I want to see the image when I export this file as a PDF. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag. And here's the second thing I'm going to show you that's very, very valuable about this program. I'm going to drag, then come up here to Object, Fitting, and I'm going to fit content proportionally. And by the way, I do want you guys to, just for the fun of it, for the heck of it, go in and say fill frame proportionally, like so. But see, that still doesn't capture the entire image. It's cropped a lot of information here. That's not going to do me any good, or whoever you're asking to look at your work. You need to show them the image. So drag, object, fitting. Now say fit content proportionally. Now look at that. There's her image. Beautiful. Now the thing is, InDesign also has a memory. And so if I were to do the same thing here, I'm going to hit Command D. I'm going to grab the same image. Now it's doing the exact same thing where it's not accounting for the adjustment that we just made. But if I were to copy and paste this down here, so I just copied it again. And if I were to select the second image that is also 8.5 by 11, watch what happens. It will automatically inherit the fact that you have already hit fit to content. So in other words, I mean, I would do it again anyway, just because, again, I have that designer's paranoia thing happening in my head. So, but you can drag, select, object, fit content proportionally, and you can see it didn't change anything. Okay. And now I'm going to select the third image. Okay. And I'm going to have to come up here to object, fit content proportionally. So it's looking real nice. You can also see the consistency and like the tonality of these images, right? So 1, 2, 3, hit Command D for place. 1, 2, 3, 4. Place this one. Object, fit content proportionally. And I believe there's one more. Hit Command D for place. Here's the last image. for that particular project. And then come up here to Object, Fit Content Proportionally, okay? And of course, you can go in and change some of this information down here for each image. The other thing that you could do if you really wanted to, I mean, I'm just kind of thinking about this right now. What if you wanted to extend this across the entire page equally, but then you can come in here, double click into the text box, hit Command A to select the text. And instead of having the text justified to the left, maybe you want it to be centered in the document. Okay. So you'll have to make that decision. Okay. For the time being, I'm going to leave mine as it was for consistency. Obviously, if you make a decision to have it, it needs to happen on all of the pages. So now I have sort of done the work of planting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 images, one image per page. Okay, but of course that only covers one project. There are 3 more projects that this particular student would have to plant into their document. When you're ready to export, you simply come up here to File, Export, and there's a drop down here, and you can go to Adobe PDF Print, okay? And then if you hit Export, you have these options for compression. And so I would definitely take a look at this compression box. That's really important. And so, if you're trying to send something through email, some of these PDFs can be 100 megabytes, but that's not very convenient to send as an email sometimes. So you can squish things down with these parameters, okay? If I click export, now I'm going to go back to my project folder and see that the file was living in this folder within the project folder, and you can see here it has been created. So if I double click on this PDF, I can see the work. I can see that it exported very, very nicely. Now, here's something else I would like to show you, because I almost sort of prefer this when you're sending me things, and it's very, very valuable just for your process and your workflow. It's a good thing to know, okay? And because I'm interested in your raw files, your PSD files, your Photoshop files. And by the way, I think, just as a reminder, I'm going to go back. I can't remember which project that was. Yes, it was project 3 from this particular student. You can see that these are PSD or Photoshop files. But some students are sending me things like, JPEGs, and that's perfectly fine. And you can submit it, you can plant a JPEG into an InDesign document as well. That being said, what I want to show you is that you can come up here to File and then Package. And when you package an InDesign file, all the links, all the fonts, everything will come along for a ride into a compressed folder. And then if you upload that to me, I can have access to all of your finalized Photoshop links. So for example, let's say, I mean, we're halfway through the semester, and maybe you feel like you've, picked up some skills, or you want to go back to project 1 and make some changes. And so you go back and you plant a PSD of an image from project 1, but since 7, 8 weeks have passed, you've decided that you want to make a few changes, or you want to improve upon that project. So just kind of, those PSD files can be modified, the JPEGs can't. So anyway, it's nice for me to get the updated files. I guess long story short, that's what I'm saying. I would love to get the updated Photoshop files if you're going into the past and making some changes, okay? So I'm going to do that one more time to show you how to package an InDesign file. File, Package. There are a lot of different, options here for you to take a look at. And then when you're ready, you just click Package. It says publication must be saved before continuing. Save it now. Yes. Now it's going to ask, where do you want the package folder? And I'm going to send it to a sensible place, I want to send it to my midterm portfolio subfolder within the course folder. And look at all this cool stuff, all these options. It's going to copy fonts. It's going to copy linked graphics. It's going to update graphic links in the package. For example, what I was just talking about, if you change a PSD, it's going to update those links so that they're current. Everything that you need is here. It's a fantastic skill to have in the publication design world. Click package, blah, 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 copyright business, hit OK. And see, now it's thinking, and it's going to send everything to that particular folder. Whether you send me a package document or just a simple PDF, it's really up to you. Okay. You guys are in the driver's seat for these projects. But it's very, very important for me to know that you guys have some experience doing this, okay? Because I think it's very, very important for employment opportunities down the road. Okay. So I'll leave it right there. Thanks, guys. Oh, obviously, you'd have to create more pages for your other projects, right? But I don't think I need to do that here. It's just gonna eat time, and your time is valuable. So you guys know how to do it from what I did with project one by creating multiple pages. But obviously, you'd have to go further for projects 1 through 4. Have a good day, guys.